out my wall.
What a friend. What a giant.
We all have to challenge ourselves when it comes to hunting. Every year poses a new challenge. And once you reach a goal, you know, what is the next goal? So it's very important to know that when you do something hunting-wise, you feel gratified in doing it. And sometimes that's going to require you to maybe look into new categories, new options as far as hunting is concerned, to keep that same feeling year after year when it does come to going afield.
Well, I have a lot of people ask me, you know, why do you shoot an elephant? Is it legal? Aren't they endangered? And, you know, to answer that question is that anywhere you go in Africa, and I've been to over 13 countries over there isn't just game running everywhere. In fact, you'll only find game in the national forests, and the only reason they're there is because they police those areas. But some of these forests are over millions of acres, and it's very expensive to police that and keep poachers out. So the way they fund that is by selling license, and over 90% of the people who go to Africa and hunt come from the United States. And they'll have conservationists who will check the number of animals, and they'll determine based on the amount of food sources for those animals as to how much and how many animals within a herd can be sustained within a given area. So they know about how many elephants they have. An elephant eats trees. They eat the leaves and the bark off of a tree. They push it over, they break it off. When they're done, that tree is demolished, and anything they didn't eat is going to die. So you got to make sure that the population of elephants is in check to the number of trees and the time that it takes for a new tree to grow so that they don't starve themselves to death. So they sell these tags when they determine how many elephants they're going to take off of a given area, sell them for a lot of money, and that revenue is what helps buy the land and pay for the man hours that it takes to police it from poachers.
Wait a moment.
Good, well done.
Well done. Yeah.
Thank you.
And the older they get, the bigger these cracks will become. Except for the place where at the back where it worns off. So if you get a very old bull, then you'll see all these very deep cracks over here and a smooth edge at the back as it walks and kicks. But yes, you can see the size of that.
So if it weren't for the hunters, you wouldn't have any animals over there because they couldn't afford to keep the manpower of game wardens watching the area to keep the poachers out. And you can't hunt in a national forest. You have to hunt the private lands that borders these national forests, and you catch the animals as they come out of the forest because the food sources are no longer there and they're venturing out into other areas. So if it weren't for the hunters, you wouldn't have any animals, let alone elephants. And then about day 9, when I woke up, I looked up into the thatch roof and there was a black mamba all coiled up above my bed, and Isak saw it before I did. He reached over and got his .22 and shot it a couple of times, and it fell out of the thatch roof right on my bed and then bounced over onto the floor. So it was a pretty exciting morning. That'll wake you up a whole lot better than a cup of coffee. Well, this is the third snare setup we've come across on this road. Birds will walk the easiest path of least of resistance, and so they set these things up in the roads that aren't used very often, and they put a barricade across it, and then they have one little opening, and in that opening they've got a metal wire snare here, and when the bird is, these are small birds, when they walk through, their neck goes through the loop, and they keep walking, and it cinches up tight around their neck, and then they can't get loose, and then they come in and can catch them, and they've got lunch or dinner or breakfast, whatever. So it's not legal to do that either, so we're tearing them down as we come to them, and they do this not only for birds, but they'll do them for Cape buffalo and other antelope as well. So anyway, it's pretty interesting. Later on that day, we came to a water hole, and there was a whole bunch of small melons that had a big chunk sliced out of them. And according to Isak, poachers had filled those melons up with arsenic, and they were purposely poisoning the elephants so that they could get the ivory and sell it on the black market. Jacob is going to collect all these melons that have been infested with either timic or strychnine or a combination of both. And by doing so, he's probably saving a whole herd of elephants, because they'll come in here as a group and eat these melons, and it ruins the meat. They only do it for the ivory. And of course, if the villagers find the elephant and decide to take a cut of meat, it'll actually kill the people that live in this area. So this could actually not only save elephants, but it could save some human life by collecting them and getting them up. When you're tracking elephants, there's a lot of things you look for to figure out how far away you are from the elephant. And one of the things is, or one of the most important things, is checking out his stool, or they call it dung. A younger elephant, he has really good teeth, so he chews the fibers of these trees up real well. So if you find a big piece of dung and there's smaller fibers in it, it's probably a smaller elephant. But if the longer fibers are in there, it's a really old elephant and his teeth are starting to wear down, so he doesn't chew it as well. That'll give you an indication of how far you are behind the elephant. So to get my elephant, I had to make a third trip to Africa. Now, I've hunted a lot of animals over in Africa, and some of them I've had to go back twice, but I've never had to go back 3 times. But 3 times is the charm, folks. This time I'm hunting with Africa Big Hunts at the Karonda Safaris Ranch. And again, that was near the Wankie National Forest. But I had fractured my hip after I booked the hunt playing racquetball, and I wasn't getting along too good, so I called the guy to cancel. and he told me he had an area we could hunt. It was a coal mine. And in this coal mine, they had a pretty good road system, so we weren't gonna have to hike 10, 12 hours a day. We were gonna be able to drive around, locate tracks, figure out where they were going, and kind of hunt them like we did my lions, where you drive around blocks and you try to figure out what block they're in, and then you go back to the last set of tracks going into the block and he's not left that block, and then you go in and the hike's not quite as long, so I could at least do some walking without limping too bad, and off to Africa, Zimbabwe I go.
No, make like just now. But the day. Yeah. It's a new job, we'll show them. Oh, wait, man.
Your odor is betraying you. It's ruining your hunt, pressuring your property, and killing your opportunities. This year, let nothing stand between you and your best season ever. Deploy a steady stream of odor-destroying molecules every second of every hour of every hunt with Ozonics. Available only at OzonicsHunting.com.
So we're riding around trying to find this monster bull elephant, and finally we cut a nice set of tracks, and we decided to get out and start stalking them, but we knew it was going to be a big herd if we could ever catch up with them. Looks like there was just 2 cows, 2 calves. We thought there might have been a bull behind them, but we haven't seen it yet, so we're still stalking back up through the forest here to see if maybe there was a bull with them, but if there was, he'd have already came behind them, unless he smelt us or somehow realized we were here, and then he might have gone the other way. Head on up here and see if we can't locate some tracks or some sign to see if he was with them or not. Now, boa tree.
Baobab.
Baobab. My bad. Baobab. You can see, because of the shade, the elephants stand under here a long time during the hot day, and of course they're peeling the bark off, devastating this forest. This is a favorite place for them to hang out, it looks like. A whole truckload of elephant dung here. After we left the baobab tree, we finished tracking up to the elephants, and finally we spotted them. And they were in a real thick area, and there was about 35 of them, and they had found themselves a shady tree, and they had surrounded that tree. The rear ends was to us. We had the wind perfect in our face, and we decided to put a stalk on them. Once we started getting within range, we realized it was too thick to be able to get a shot standing up, so we actually had to get down on our hands and knees and move in closer, and I actually had to take the shot from my knees. Well, after I got the shot in, that female, she was bound and determined she was going to charge us, so we had to crawl backwards real slow until we got out of sight from her. We decided to head back to the truck and have lunch and wait around and give the elephant time to expire, and then we were going to go back in and recover him.
Penetrated. Oh, that's why. They know. These guys, with bow hunting, you listen for that squeal. That tells you there's a penetration of a vital organ. Like I said, it might be slow, but it will be deep. They're relaxing. It might fall over. He was quartering very still. So maybe it went all the way up there. But he can hear your all the way. Very good penetration. Just relax, find somewhere to rest. Just leave them for now. They're resting as well.
I'm so glad you got him, buddy.
Me too, man.
Delani, thank you very much. This was the hunt of a lifetime. It was so exciting. You did an excellent job. Africa Big Hunt. They're hunting with Karande safaris. Folks, this is a first-class operation. The third day of the hunt, by 10 o'clock in the morning, he got me within 30 yards of this animal. There was a whole herd of them. I don't have a clue. Any idea how many of them there were?
I think we probably had maybe 25.
25 elephants, a lot of cows and calves, which makes it very dangerous. And you got me up there. I never felt one hint of fear. You had control of the situation the entire time. I got to tell you what, folks, this was a hunt of a lifetime. I can't say enough about it. I appreciate it, Talani.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
We are
very
grateful.
much.
Thank you to the team. Thanks to everyone.
Yes, everyone. This was a team effort, and I don't know. I'm kind of speechless on it. I'm just so excited. I don't know what else to say. Once we had the elephant down, we got our flip phones out and called. We had 3 different villages that we called, and they sent representatives from those villages with machetes and knives, and it was in a matter of a couple of hours. They had 100-pound slabs of meat they threw on their back, and back to their village they went. They have no way to, they have no refrigeration, so you know, you can only, this meat will only stay fresh so long. So we fed 3 different villages off of the meat from that elephant. You know, Africa is probably the most funnest place I've ever gone to hunt, and I've hunted all over the world. And the reason I like to go there is because I know I'm helping the economy there. I know if it weren't for hunters spending the money, there wouldn't be the staff that's needed to police these national forests and protect the animals. So I know I'm helping the economy there, but I also know I'm going to see all kinds of game. I'm going to experience things that you just don't experience here. And the people are extremely friendly. And it's not just a hunt, it's an adventure every time I go over there.